most famous stars in Hollywood history is dead at 36. Marilyn Monroe was found dead in bed under circumstances that were in tragic contrast to her glamorous career as a comic talent. On the surface, she seemed to have such a zest for life. Her international appeal took her from command appearances to the other side of the world and entertainment for Korean GIs. The star led a far from normal childhood and had 12 sets of foster parents, leading her to say in her last interview that she was never used to being happy, so it wasn't something she ever took for granted. She never let her personal feelings interfere with her job, and she was the idol of the GIs, the animation of foxhole dreams. She found no happiness in marriage. Her second husband was baseball immortal Joe DiMaggio, and that marriage ended as had her first in divorce. Her third husband was playwright Arthur Miller, and they too separated. Miss Monroe played in 23 films since her debut in 1950, films that grossed $200 million. The Golden Girl received 5,000 fan letters a week, and to those fans, she never let any personal problems dim her screen glamour. Despite flashes of temperament and tantrums, she turned in performances that kept her among the greatest box office favorites in motion picture history.
Hi, I'm Marilyn. How are you? Hi, what's good? Hi, I'm Marilyn. How are you? So, who are you? Are you gonna say something? Marilyn Monroe dies from suicide. Tragic death of star Marilyn Monroe. What are they talking about? I can't be dead. And why would they say that I died from suicide? I would never kill myself. Though I can't blame them. It wasn't the first time I tried to commit suicide. Once, a long time ago, I had this partner and senior agent named Johnny Hyde, and he was totally in love with me, and he asked me to go on a vacation with him. But I didn't want to, so I said no. And, well, he died from a fatal heart attack while he was gone, and I felt like it was my fault, so I swallowed the contents of pills and tried to kill myself, but thankfully my friend got to me in time. I was always someone's girl, like Johnny's girl or whoever's girl, like I was before he died. And well, I guess it was because of my father, because I never really had one, and he never really showed me how I was supposed to be treated, because he wasn't in the picture when I was a little girl, and he died when I was 3 years old from a fatal car accident. And that was back when I was Norma Jean Baker. My mother Gladys was hospitalized pretty much my whole childhood in an insane asylum because she was crazy. And I spent years in foster homes and was treated really poorly by men and other people that took me in. My Aunt Grace was always there for me, kind of. She was the one that helped me get into foster homes. She would have taken me in, but I was a really hard child to deal with, and she just wasn't the type to take care of people. I was in foster homes, and I was raped and molested by older men that wanted to take me in, and I thought that they really loved me, so I thought that was normal. And my aunt told me that the reasons why that happened to me was because of, she put the idea in my head to become a movie star, and the only way that I could get there was by my sexuality and the way that I acted with men and all that stuff. But when I turned 14, she gave me the choice to either go back to orphanages or marry a 21-year-old named James Daughtry, and of course I decided to marry him. And the attention that I got from him made it so I forgot about the movies, and I didn't really care about them. So I was married to him, and it was a lot of fun. But then World War II came around, and he had to go away, and just like other war wives, I lived with his parents and got a job in a defense factory as a nurse. And so I worked there while he was gone, and it was nerve-wracking, of course. But then Army photographers' first motion pictures unit came and took pictures of the nurses, and David Conover took my picture, and when the results came back, he came and told me I was pretty enough to be a model, and like that, the dream came back. Well, I stayed with Daughtry until he left again for another 6 months. So he left, and then I left when I was 19 years old and never looked back. David took pictures of me for Yank magazine, where Blue Book modeling agency, and they moved me on to 20th Century Fox, where I signed the divorce papers and signed the contract, and that's where I became Marilyn. But everybody thinks I was always a fragile little girl. I wasn't always a fragile little girl. I mean, yeah, I had depression issues and I had trouble working sometimes, but I was confident and very smart, and I studied really hard for the parts that I got. But 6 months later, after our contract was over, they decided not to sign another contract because the chief director of 20th Fox thought I was unattractive. And so I was alone again. But I got invited to Saturday Night Institutions by Pat Picot. I never really met him though. But there I met Joe Sneck, board chairman of 20th Fox, expecting him to give me another try at 20th Fox. But instead, I became Joe's girl. I was with him all the time. We were like this. I went to his house and gave him, like, his friends and them, like, drinks and stuff, and stayed with him all the time. And then he persuaded Harry Kahn, the director of Columbia Pictures, which is another movie agency, to give me a contract. And after that, I was no longer Joe's girl. Like, we were friends, but I was so busy that I couldn't really do anything. This is where I met Johnny Hyde, the guy I told you guys about before. He really cared about me. Like, at least I think so. I don't really know what it seems like to have somebody care about you that much. But he offered me to marry him when he was really ill, and it was hard. But I said no, and people said I was foolish for not marrying him, but I didn't want to, and they told me I was foolish because he had all this money, and after he died I would get it, but they didn't realize that I didn't care about the money, I just cared about getting respect. And so after he died, I was making a movie, and this was when all the depression stuff came in more dramatically. And so I ran off the set crying, and a man named Kazan found me. And he lived in New York, and of course he had a wife and all that, but I think I liked guys that were married because that means that they wouldn't be there all the time to bother me. But but I really did like him, and I didn't want him to go back to New York to his wife, so I told him I was pregnant, but I wasn't. And I felt really bad about it, and he was freaking out, so I sent him a letter saying that I had a miscarriage, and he went, and I was alone once again. And my friend Joe Sneck that I told you guys about helped me get the part in Gentlemen Prefer Brides, or Blondes, my bad. And that's when everyone fell in love with me. And after that, I met Joe DiMaggio. And he was amazing, of course, and I married him, and we stayed together for 9 months, and it was good. But then, you know, the picture that's famous about me with the statue of the white dress and then me going whoop and stuff like that happened, and then he didn't like that very much, that picture of me and that statue of me. So he divorced me after 9 months of us together. So after that, I left Columbia and because I wanted to be a serious actress and went to actor studio to like learn more about acting. And then I was in a whole bunch of movies and like a lot of movies. And people say that I married that other guy, but it was just a cover up for a movie. I never really married him. And so later on in my life, before my death, I had an affair with John F. Kennedy and his brother. And I don't know why I did it. I think it was because I just wanted to be happy, and I never was happy, and I always cherished the moments that I was happy. And so what happened was, people thought I committed suicide, but that didn't really happen. They found me in my bed, and it was a mess, and I don't want to explain that to you. But I had told my best friend, I remember specifically telling my best friend, if I ever killed myself, I would have my hair and my makeup done, and I would be all nice and stuff. But what happened was, I did not commit suicide. During the affair with John F. Kennedy, he told me a bunch of stuff about the government, and I remember us having a conversation about the stuff that was going on in Cuba, and I knew too much about it, so they decided to get rid of me. And I called one of my friends one night and told them that I was afraid something was going to happen to me, and then the next morning they found me dead in my bed. So what really happened was the government killed me because I knew too much about the government. So, but some people think that I was just depressed and didn't really care about anybody but myself, but really, I really cared about everything that I did and all of the people that helped me. And I want to thank Barbara Leeming, who wrote the book Marilyn Monroe about me, who really showed who I was. And yeah, the end. I want to take this stuff out of my head.